I can't believe it, but people have already watched the new Supergirl movie that comes out in a few months, and here's what they're saying are the best and worst parts of the film. In case you're unaware, most major studios hold test screenings for their big movies coming out months in advance to get a general reception of what audience members like or dislike. Now, it's important to keep in mind, these are not like critics or reviewers going to see a press screening of the film. These are normally like random people pulled off the street, pulled into a movie theater and say, hey, watch this film, tell us what you think of it. A lot of the times the movies are not finished, maybe the CGI or the soundtrack still needs work. Saw this last year with Superman months in advance. There were multiple different test screenings of the film because I think James Gunn knows how important it is that a lot of people love these new DC projects, and that's how we got some of the earliest plot leaks for that Superman movie. And now they've been holding multiple test screenings for Supergirl. They had one a few months ago and another one just the other day. And we actually have a decent amount of reports from people that actually watched this film at the test screening and what they thought of it. So before I get into all of these, keep in mind these are literally random people. Don't let it affect your hype of the film too much one way or the other, but these should all be accurate because I made sure to only use sources that were accurate for Superman test screenings last year. As you can see, this first one says this is a good movie, bordering on really good. That's all they'll say right now, but they hope that this cut of the film is the one that gets released. It's around 1 hour and 45 minutes and packs a punch, which makes it sound like it's really quickly paced. And while one insider said that most of the sources he heard from say it's actually really good and had positive reactions, another one said he kind of heard the opposite and that things were really mixed on the film. Like this account says Supergirl was alright. As others have mentioned, the villain wasn't really all that. Kara was good and there were some decent fights, but overall it was kind of meh. Lobo was a standout for me. He was the GOAT in every scene he was in. And they said that they also used the score from Dune in one scene as a placeholder, that was kind of funny. Unfortunately, this does confirm the reports that, yeah, they are now on their third composer for the musical score of this film. They just fired and hired a new person 3 days ago. And obviously they can make a score in the amount of time before this film releases in June, but I don't think this is the greatest sign. I don't know what keeps going wrong with a composer for a movie. Here's another review that kind of shares the same sentiment. They said that, yeah, you were right about the villain being underwhelming. His motivation was really lacking. I'm sure you already know the plot, so I won't share anything plot-wise. The film is a meh adaptation of that one comic. The villain is super lame. Kara is really good as Supergirl, which I think they mean Millie Alcock. They love her performance, and her journey with Ruthie was great. We'll get to more in a second, but I kind of want to highlight this thing about the villain being underwhelming, because honestly, I just read the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow comic that this movie is loosely based on. James Gunn said it's not a direct adaptation, but they're definitely taking lots of elements from it, like the villain Krem, and honestly, he is an underwhelming villain in the comic itself, but that's kind of the point, because in the comic at least, the story is not really about like Supergirl versus Krem for most of it. It's this guy Krem does one very evil thing, and then it follows Supergirl and Ruthie going on this journey kind of chasing after him, but it's more about the journey itself, the different things and planets they run into, the journeys they go on as characters and their arcs. And I think that's why they're adding different things that aren't in the comic book and making it a loose adaptation, like Jason Momoa as Lobo. Lobo is nowhere to be seen in the comic story, but I think they know like, hey, Krem is not good enough to carry the story on its own, and otherwise it mainly is just focusing on Supergirl and Ruthie. We need to add some other kind of antagonistic, kind of loose cannon character to put some juice in this film, and who would be better than Lobo? But just like with anything, when you ask a bunch of random people what they think of a movie, it's going to be all over the place. Like there were a decent amount of 7 out of 10s, which is just like, oh, borderline, it's a good film. But there were also some people that said, oh, it's an 8 or 9 out of 10, really loved it. We do also know apparently that, yes, Superman does show up in this cut of the film for 2 scenes. One is in like the present tense of the story, and one is kind of like a flashback scene. So that should be interesting to see. And again, I think it's really smart of DC Studios to be doing so many different test screenings, because they know that, yes, you don't want to over rely on random polls of what people like or dislike about a film, but James Gunn knows that films like Supergirl and Clayface have to be highly critically just praised across the board and get lots of word of mouth, especially because we know Supergirl is going to be fighting against like the YouTube grifter crowd that are like, oh my god, it's the most woke thing ever, Hollywood's cooked. We already have Millie Alcock come in saying, oh, I think young girls should walk away from the film, knowing that it's okay to be a bit bad and messy. And of course people are replying like, oh my god, she's saying girls should grow up and be criminals. This guy's like, oh, why does every movie have to have a message? Can't they just be good movies? And he's like, oh, I'm tired of every movie having a negative message. And even though I think this movie is going to be really good and work for me personally, I think we are going to see tons of mixed reviews. I could see around like maybe an 80% Rotten Tomatoes for critics and like 70% for audiences, just because we're dealing with a protagonist who's not like black and white, just super amazing or super evil. Like, yes, in the trailer we see that Supergirl is literally drunk, she's kind of depressed, down in her luck, kind of a reluctant hero in this story. There's going to be people that are just like, oh my god, what is this movie? Why am I watching this? Because they can't handle a character that's somewhat complex, and I don't understand like, oh, the journey the character's going on is the entire point. Like, yes, as much as I love the Boy Scout vibe of Clark Kent and Superman, if you had Supergirl be the exact same character, first of all, it just would not be accurate to who she is in the comics, and second of all, it would just be boring and pointless, because I feel like you're watching the same exact movie just with a different character in it. Now, quick drop a like on this video if you made it this far, and let me know in the comments below your prediction for what you're going to rate it 1 through 10. If you want to hear about a crazy new casting announcement for the next Superman film and when we're getting the next Spider-Man brand new day trailer, click the video above my head right now. Or if you want to see all my other DC videos on the channel, click the playlist at the bottom, and thank you for watching.